All right, we are back again for session number 5. I'm here as always with my really good friend, business partner, and I'm kind of finding like my guru, Dean Philpott. So CEO Bald Guy Real Estate Team. So he's got a couple amazing books under your belt. I would recommend reading, Stop Wishing, Start Winning. So that's a Dean Philpott classic if you really want to get your head screwed on right. So, Dean, I'm going to hand it over to you, man. Let's get some magic this week.
Hey, everybody! Welcome again to our little Monday thing. It's getting to be, it's just getting to be such a wonderful looking forward to moment, right, on Mondays. And I mean, some of the feedback that comes in just helps solidify that we're just putting out the right message for this other side of the coin. And of course, as you know, this is what I love to do. So this is for me, it's feeding my passion of being able to give back a little bit to all you wonderful people. And so we always start with a little bit of a recap. So I mean, I'm going to do the same. And my favorite poem comes from the book As a Man Thinketh. Right. Man is the master power mind is the master power that molds and makes, and man is mind. And evermore he takes the tool of thought, and that's what we talk about all throughout this stuff. Evermore he takes the tool of thought, and shaping what he wills, brings forth 1,000 joys or 1,000 ills. And he thinks in secret, and it comes to pass. An environment is but his looking glass. That's one of my favorite, retrospect and looking back in on life. And what are we thinking about when we're really quiet? I just finished driving up from Victoria this morning, which is only like an hour and a half away, and I never put on the radio. My phone was pretty much off. And I love just driving and thinking. And so as I was driving and thinking, I was thinking about that poem and going, hey, now what am I thinking in secret here? Right? Nobody knows what we're thinking. You can say tell people what you're thinking all along, all you want, but really, what are you thinking? And then again, if you want to know what you're thinking, just look at the results that you're getting in your life, because we ultimately become what we think about. And the other side of the coin is this whole program has been designed around just that. So we're talking about stuff that's not about generating leads and what to say in scripts. Our thing today is about helping people understand that we become what we think about. And if we all agree that thinking creates and manifests everything that there is in our lives, the computer you're looking at right now, Joe's red shirt, was nothing more than the thought in the mind of an individual that was literally pushed out in form. So we want to know how we think. And we think with our mind. And we also found out that we think in pictures. When I say the word boat, you don't see B-O-A-T. You see a picture flashes right across the screen of your mind. So if thinking is so important to us, and we think with our minds, well, then we want to create a picture for our mind. And because that's going to help us, I guess, solidify all the beautiful things that we're going to learn. So then we created a picture called the Stick Man. Now, I didn't create this, remember. This was created by Dr. Thurman Fleet. And so, but now we worked through that. We created that little picture. And again, I guess moving forward, I think we're continually going to make this list of things we want to bring back out to everybody. That's the attendees. And we want to get that picture being able to put up on the screen of, that Stick Man is what we called it, right? With the bigger circle and the little circle. And in the bigger circle, we let it represent our mind, because usually that is the biggest part of us, really. We think sometimes that this body that we're carrying around is the highest side of our personality, because that's all we see. It's on the physical side. But it's not. In essence, our mind is the largest thing. So we blew up the head and we crossed it in half to represent the conscious mind and the subconscious mind. And then, of course, we have that little body, and then out to the side is, we have this little expression, that we call that our results. And so when we start looking at our mind, we could see, hear, smell, taste, and touch. And that's how we've been conditioned to operate our lives from. And so I'm bringing on this newer concept of our intellectual faculties. So we have an option now to not react from everything on our see, hear, smell, taste, touch, our physical side. We have an option to operate with the use of our intellect, which is on that side. So Joe, you just disappeared there, and I'm not sure what happened there.
No, man, I'm still here. Keep going, Dean.
All right. Well, I'm gonna have to change this up a little bit, because I'm just looking at a picture of me, Joe, and we got to get this straightened out, because that's not where I want to be. There you go. That's my Joe. I'm talking to Joe. Guys, excuse my. I just don't like looking in the mirror when I'm going to have this beautiful 1 hour, session. I can't be looking at just this guy. Joe, maybe you needed to pick your nose or something. I don't know, but
Hey, you never know.
uh, yeah.
You never know.
So now we get to operate from a different set of rules, and we have this ability in our conscious mind to be able to choose our thoughts, and so that's where it all begins with. And as we choose our thoughts, instead of blending them with our physical side of the see, hear, smell, taste, and touch, we get to now blend this thoughts with the intellectual side. And that's what we've been going over. We've talked about our perception, our the way we look at things, and we talked about it, and that's our ability to daydream and create any life that we, right, and you get to blend that with your thoughts, versus the alternative, creating a thought in your head where you can imagine the worst case scenario. Well, now we know that we get to choose our thoughts, so we can choose a different scenario. We talked about our will, which is our ability to focus, and when we come up with an idea, right, focusing on that idea with everything you got, and we have some little exercises around that. And so then when we're faced with situations in our life, now we get to control these things a little better. And sometimes, I say control kind of loosely, because really we're in control of nothing. At one point when the universe says, hey, whatever's going to happen is going to happen. But I still like to go back and bring it back to we control what we think about. So, we can have that ability. So now if we blend all these thoughts with the higher side of our personality, our spiritual side, which is our intellect, well, then we get to understand that we can control how we feel. Because once you've accepted a certain thought and you blended it with, let's say, the higher side of our personality, or you can blend it with your physical side too, but whatever you choose, it's going to be dropped down in your subconscious mind, and it's going to be expressed as a vibration or a feeling. Vibration is just another word we use to describe feelings. And so if we're feeling good because we now have these new tools to work with, well, then the results that we're going to get in our life is very much just like that. We'll get good results, if we're able to follow that process. So that's kind of the recap. And of course, Joe, do you think, and we got the recap covered okay? Or do you anything
Yeah, my
else you'd like to
recap
hit
sounds
there?
amazing. So yeah,
Okay.
I love the brief overview of the first 4 weeks.
Okay.
I think it's so impactful. I mean, for anybody who missed that very first session where we talk about things like the stick man, your conscious and your subconscious mind, please go back, check out that first session, because I think that
Mm.
really lays the foundation for everything that we've talked about thus far.
Right. So today, then we're gonna dive right into our next intellectual faculty, and it's going to be our memory. So again, till I got introduced to all these concepts, we knew we had a memory. I just didn't realize this is the higher side of our personality. I didn't realize that memory, or that mental muscle of memory, and was that intellectual faculty. I didn't realize that we didn't have it. I didn't realize it was placed on the higher side. But now that we have that there, we're going to start using it properly. Now, before we get into memory, today I'm going to talk about interaction. Just before we jump into memory, we've had a recap. I want to talk about our interaction. And so if we start to interact, it's like taking notes. Now, for the next few moments, or the next 45 minutes, whatever we're going to be on here, I'm gonna ask for interaction today. And the the positive side of the interaction is that if we take notes or start interacting when there's a question asked, we have the ability then to probably absorb this information a little better and be able to repeat it, teach, right? Or if it's a teaching moment, we can go back out and teach our kids tonight, or your spouse, or whatever. So today we're going to I'm going to be asking for some participation, and that was the big thing. I made a couple of notes here just to make sure I didn't forget. We have a chat box here. Now, in the last few weeks, I haven't been too heavy on saying, okay, jump right into the chat box, let's do this thing. But today, guys, I'm asking for some participation. And I want to give you a little story of participation. Again, I got this participation exercise, or the awareness of participation, out of that PSI seminars when I attended in California. I keep going back to there because the basis of a lot of the things that I've learned over the last 10 years that I'm sharing with you came out of those experiences. And so I was doing a 1-hour speech for a brokerage in Calgary back in 2000, I think 15 or 14. And I was going through my spiel. I was introducing the program 20 Minutes to Platinum, and I was in front of 500 people at the time, and it was on stage, which is, that was a different scene, right? So we weren't Zooming those days. That's only 5 years ago, but on stage. And I was introducing a concept, and it was about, it was all based around real estate. So I was talking to the crowd about how to up their vibration before they go on a CMA. So this is what that little topic was about. And I didn't realize I was going to be so impromptu when I was going to deliver this next message about participation. So I had some music playing in the background, and then I started to amp it up. It's like, so before you get to your CMA, I want to, play your favorite song. Get on there, man. Just knock it out with some, BGs or whatever that thing, or some AC/DC or some whatever it is that turns your crank. And when you get out of your car, you're just going to be in vibration. That's just going to walk in there, and you're going to own the CMA or whatever it is you're doing. You're showing a home. Sometimes it's after lunch, we have a big meal, and all of a sudden you're driving there and going, oh my God, I'm so on the down right now. So I was encouraging people. And so I turned up some of the music and I said, hey, and this was the impromptu part. And I turned up, and there was 500 people in the room. I said, well, my God, there's going to be a few of them going to get up and dance to this thing, right? Hey, let's participate. So let's just see how this works. It was after lunch session. Everybody was sitting back in their chair, kind of like this. Oh, wow, we got a 1 hour breakout session with Dean, but I just ate. So I did this little test. So I turned up this BG music, Staying Alive, and I started to rock this thing. And I found myself dancing on the stage, because that's not uncommon for me. I can dance alone. I can dance anywhere. So I was dancing on this stage, and there was only a couple of people I saw in their chair doing this. I thought, my God, am I this boring? This really? And so I stopped the song and I replayed it again. I said, guys, I'm going to ask for some participation. So I turned it on again, and eventually a couple of people started shaking a little bit more. Their elbows started moving. And so I just ran down through the aisle of this 500 people sitting at their respective tables. And I jumped upon a table and did a table dance. And here I am. I am going at her, man, to staying alive. And so eventually, some of the other people started getting up and dancing, some of the other people. And then we hit another song by AC/DC. And I said, well, let's just have a dance off. Well, you know what? In around, I'm going to say 7 or 8 minutes, everybody in that room was dancing. And so it brought back to this point. So why am I telling you this whole story? Is because I want us to look at this example as an example of participation. We're going to come to you today and we're going to deliver some information, and I want you to participate in it. Now, for those of you who are not prepared to use that chat box, now just let this be just some sort of an example of where else in your life are you not using your chat box, if you choose not to, because this could be as simple as some ego problem about not wanting to participate. Well, it's not really important. Well, what happens if I say something that's stupid, and it sounds about stupid? Oh, I am what other people think of me. Remember, we talked about that thing about your opinion of me is none of my business. This is what I have to say. So if we're going to participate in this beautiful thing that we've been given called life, I want us to be able to express that today, because I got some really cool questions to ask you guys, and I want us to participate today. And I want everybody going to the chat box today, and I'm going to be a little bit insistent on that, because I want you to look at it as an example. Where else in life are you participating or you're not participating? And so then I'd like for you to watch your behavior as we're going to go through and talk about memory. And I have a few of these awesome questions to trigger, and because there's a reason behind my madness today. As we're going through that, I want you to watch your life. And where are we participating? Where are we not? Because I believe we all have a story, guys, within us. When we're out there going around and we're playing life, or we're doing life, we have a story. And that story is meant to be shared, because I think everything that's inside of us, it's meant to come out to help somebody else. And you just never know who you're going to be helping. So don't withdraw when it comes to participating. And so, is it the family life? Is it with your business life? Or is it just you while you're in a grocery store being able to open the door for someone? Where are we participating? Where are we not participating? So that's what I wanted to talk about. So we're going to have that. We're going to have that opportunity. So as we go through this next thing. So today we're going to talk about memory. And I think, so this is the interesting part. We all have a fantastic, phenomenal memory. Actually, we have a perfect memory. We have the ability to bring up any thought. Now, most people, they'll go around and say, they kind of joke about it as well. When you talk about memory, people do have this ability to go, oh my God, I got a memory, but it's short. And they joke about this and that, oh, I can't remember this, or I can't remember that. And that which you say ultimately comes true. So if you continue, be careful about your language when it comes to your memory. And I've had to learn this myself. And this is all these things I have went through this myself. When it comes to memory, let's get into the habit of, when people do talk about memory, let's start talking about the fact that, we have perfect memories. We just have to develop it. So let's go with that speech, because if you can't remember that song or something that somebody brought up, then you crack that comment. Your subconscious mind, you guys, will ultimately deliver what it is that you're asking or saying to it. Remember that part. Remember that part? Come on, Joe, that's it. Hey, remember that part, because our memory. So if I was on stage, you'd be laughing, but now I can't hear you. So now you are. So, okay. So this is the part about memory. So we have a perfect memory, and now it's about how do we start developing that memory muscle? Usually we're able to develop it by ridiculous association. Does anybody out there, this is our first little shot at participation, have anything that you remember that's kind of silly? You remember the code to your front door because I pictured 178734. Okay, how do I remember that every day? When it first was given to me, I had to go up and it's like, okay, what's the happiest, okay. I always say, oh, I wish I was 17 again. Okay, cool. When I was, when did anybody loan me the most money in my life? I was 34. How long am I going to live? Well, minimum is 87. So it's about ridiculous association. We have these abilities, to be able to create or develop our memory. So if anybody's got some little story they want to put in that chat box, just the one word or two. Yes, I have it. My ridiculous association is something, but feel free. This is a little engagement session. So just put that in there. But this is not overly important right now. But I want to just understand that we have this ability, because now memory is so important for us because we have the ability in our conscious mind to choose memory with our thought, because sometimes we don't know it and it's unconscious. When you're about to set out to do a goal in your life, any type of goal, and it seems like it might be a little out of reach, because a goal, remember, is supposed to be so big and so exciting that it scares you in the same breath, right? It excites you and scares you in the same breath. So if we're not aware that we're going to use our intellectual faculty of memory properly, we could set out to do that goal and fail, because sometimes we'll look at this new goal and all of a sudden it seems so out of reach, we don't even know it. We'll remember a time in our lives where we went out to set out a goal before and we failed. And so, of course, failure is okay, because Thomas Edison said, hey, guess what? I didn't fail 10,000 times. I needed to try 10,000 things before I found the right answer. But we may not be that advanced in our awareness level. So we're going to go back, and the memory that's associated with failure will draw you right back in. And then you'll start putting out a wrong energy towards your new goal, because something pops up in your memory. So guys, this is the point. But here's the magic. We have the ability in our conscious mind, as we make these decisions, to attach it and go back and look for the good memory where we did succeed. Now, here's their first question. Now, we have 13 attendees. I'm looking for 13 chat box answers in the next few minutes. I want you to please reach into your memory bank right now, and I want just a small little sentence about some success that you can reach back in your memory and tell me about a great time with the day you were daughter born, a good man. I want everybody putting in a great memory right now. Put something in there. 13 little answers are going to come up. Are we going to participate this? Just pretend this is like the biggest game of life we're about to play. The day I met my wife, traveling to Australia, my wedding. Oh, I love it. When I found out my sister was pregnant with my niece, family trip to PEI, wedding in Maui, Waterton family vacation. Look how much family stuff just turns up here. Isn't that beautiful? It's not about, oh, the day I got my first sale. It wasn't about, oh, how much money I made. This is mostly about family. I love it. Family vacation in Mexico. I love it. Thank you. I love this. My dad could never remember the name of my phone. He wanted Samsung Galaxy. So I said, just think of God and what he created. So my dad, religious man, hasn't forgotten it since. See, there you go. Ridiculous association. Thank you, Monique, for sharing that. That's awesome. I love it.
One association that I never forgot was Colors of the Rainbow, Roy G. Biv. Like, how I retained that, I don't know.
Right?
Yeah.
See, there you go. But it's ridiculous association. We have a perfect memory. God, when he made us, right? These are there. It's always there. Now, here's an example. So I have a friend that remembers my life better than I do. Oh, I love it. Mike, that's awesome. I have a couple of those too. It's called too much information. So yesterday, I'm on the phone to my sister, and we're reflecting. We just lost my mom a couple months ago, and we're just talking. And I said, now, Sharon, I said, you remember during Christmas, we used to have that big old photo album? Guys, I'm talking about, we figured it out. It was built in 1972. I was 5 years old. Okay, I was 5 years old. Now, of course, that album stuck around for a few years. And I said to my sister, I said, oh my God, do you remember that vinyl album that mom used to play every Christmas called, and then I had to sing some of the Christmas Cannonball or something like this. And she goes, oh, Dean, that was the Post Family. I'm like, are you kidding me? How on earth? Oh, she goes, and then she rhymed off to me how she remembered it was the Post Family. Some little thing in her head was a quirky guy was wearing a certain suit, and she remembers it, and she's older than I am. So don't go around saying that we don't have a good memory. We need to develop it. So understand this. So the first thing about this today is I want everybody to understand this mental muscle of memory was put there so we can remember things, and it's stored in our subconscious mind. We just have to remember how to bring it up, or have these little tricks to bring it up. That's, again, ridiculous association. So what I want to do now, we've had all these memories that we're the draft up, like family vacation in Mexico. I have a friend that remembers my life better than I do. So the wedding in Maui, and I saw sea turtle in the water below us, one of our best memories. So now what I want us to do, you guys, we have another participation moment already. The next participation moment, attach the feeling that was attached to this memory. You've all put a memory in there. What's the feeling you feel when you bring that up? When I found out my sister was pregnant with my niece, what feeling did you have, Jamie? Sam Ennis, traveling to Australia, what did you feel? I expect we're going to get a lot of great feelings here. Joseph Moretti, the day I met my wife, what a great feeling. I want to know what it felt like. Joy, happiness, completeness, happiness, love. I'm not seeing too many negative things here, you guys. Do you see where I'm going with this? As we set out on January 1, I thought this would be fitting today. We're getting so close to Christmas. Now, whether we realize this or not, I mean, we have a new year coming around the corner. I don't know how many people are here right now that are kind of doing that whole ADM, advanced decision making, that we talked about a little, a couple of weeks ago. I love advanced decision making, because we've had all this time. We've had what, 12 weeks or something when I first, or whatever it's been, 8 weeks or whatever it's been. We have all this time now to come back out and slowly make a couple changes in our lives. Okay, I haven't had a McDonald's burger or anything for around, I don't know, 4 or 5 weeks. That's just my own personal. I had to get back into some new habits, right? Because the memory, there's certain things that my body is telling me, Dean, I'm done. You've shoved this down your throat for the last 53 years. I think it's time, Dean, that you maybe have something with a piece of a lettuce attached to it, maybe. Listen for lettuce. So I'm trying this on for size, right? And I'm going to win. So my point is, my memory when I eat these things is not well, So there's so many ways to be able to work this thing. So this is how my memory right now is serving me, because I feel great today. So, but yet there's a part of my subconscious that wants to go in and have that burger because I just want to feel that. And this is what I'm going through personally these days, as I'm changing up some habits with my food. And so, but my memory, so I need to pull that out. So versus having this whole, I want to go ahead and just get stuffed right now because I'm feeling like I want to have a burger, from McDonald's. Not wrong with a burger. And this is just my own scene. I'm not judging anybody that just ate McDonald's for lunch. Okay, that's not about this. It's about what I'm trying to explain, and this is how I'm working my own. My memory had to come up and say, hey, Dean, guess what? This wasn't good. So I'm helping me make new decisions based on what I'm able to think about. So now when we look at our advanced decision making, what goals do you want to accomplish in 2021 that you're going to need to go back in your memory, because they're really big? You're going to need to go back in your memory, and you're going to have to pull out the successes and not the failures. Now, this is where a lot of people will, ultimately get the biggest challenge. And they'll understand, well, man, I'm not so motivated on that goal because when I tried that before, this is what happened. Well, I'm here to tell you, before is before and now is now. Let's be present. So let's go back and look at this. Amazement at my mom's mad skills. I don't believe I did some of the things that she said I did. So great memory stepping out in the first island. What some other feelings we've had here? Let's look at the totally relaxation, excitement, love, joy, happiness. So these are the feelings. So guys, so now this is what we're looking for. We want to draw up on this memory muscle to back us up on the decision that we're making. So that's my point. Now, so before you make the decision and you're about to, it's still in this conscious mind of ours as we're making the decision, try on a couple and see how you feel first. If you're not feeling good about moving out to your goal, let's reverse it up and go, okay, why am I not feeling good about this? So maybe I got to think about something a little different. Maybe I got to look at it, maybe I got to look at it in a different way. Maybe my perception's off. Maybe I got to imagine different. Maybe it's the wrong goal. Maybe I got to, maybe it's not enough. You see what I'm doing here? Or I'm trying to share. I'm just trying to draft up these tangibles so we can start connecting some dots. So when we move forward to attack this 2021, in our spiritual way, we're going to be using our spiritual side of our personality. That's what memory is all about. Pull success is not the failures from the memory. Really, that's where I'm coming from. And I think that's been a big one for me. Because again, right from cutting rhubarb and cutting my finger when I was just a kid, you'll read about that in my book, as I was setting out my first business venture, I wanted to go make some money. And so, so here's an example, right? If we want to pull out a little example from when I was 13 years old, we had a rhubarb patch in my house back in Newfoundland. And of course, my allowances was, I don't think I had an allowance because we were so poor. There was no allowances necessary. It's like, get the work done and I'll feed you for the next month. That was your allowance, right? And so of course, my mother had a rhubarb patch. So she says, Dean, go ahead and make you can cut your rhubarb and we can sell it. And that's great. So off I went cutting rhubarb. I was, just a kid. And of course, as I was cutting the stalk off the rhubarb to pile it up, what I do, the scar is still right here. I cut my finger, just about damn near cut the damn thing off. And so I had to go to the doctor, and the medication was $13. And that's exactly what I had made from cutting the rhubarb. So of course, that wasn't what you would call the most beautiful business experience at the age of 13. So again, so will that stop me now from starting my next business venture? I mean, it could, it has the ability to, if we don't have this in our control. So now we have to look back at and go, hey, what were my successes? Well, I had a successful little trolley business where I was taking groceries from the grocery store, and I was putting them on a little trolley that I was pretending it was a vehicle and driving the groceries around my little town. And that was a big success. I was selling cigarettes over on the school grounds, and I was buying the pack of cigarettes for $5 and making around $12 per pack. So that was a success. So of course we got to go back and we got to draw upon selling cigarettes. Whatever that was for you. So my point is, I just want to bring up this mental muscle of memory to your awareness. And I want to just be able to help you as you're going out to create this new life, so that you remember to remember the good things. And so that's one of the bigger things. I'm just trying to check some notes here now because when I was coming up with this, there was so many beautiful little memories that I had that I wanted to share. So I just put down a few little notes. And of course, again, going back to that yesterday with my sister, how do we remember all this, right? I mean, it's just there. I mean, prove to yourself that you do have a perfect memory by going back in your life and saying, oh my God, what's the photo album? Remember that picture of when you were just a kid, what shirt you're wearing. In grade 4, I had a brown shirt on. I remember, and in grade 6, I had a yellow shirt on from my pictures. And there was a girl came up, she goes, oh, you think you're really fancy. So she took a black marker and put on my yellow shirt. I was in grade 6. I remember that. What makes me remember that? We have a perfect memory.
Wow.
So that's, so that's an intellectual faculty. We want to use that memory to our, advantage, and just be aware when we're not using it to our advantage, because we're going to blend it with our thoughts, and we're going to go on. And because again, ultimately, guys, this is another tool to be in our belt, so we can ensure that our vibration is operating high. So when we go out to set out to that goal.
So
Yes, Joe.
What do you think is the key? So, if we look back and looking at your business ventures,
Yeah.
What is the key to have you looking at selling the cigarettes on the school ground and not focusing on, cutting your finger on the rhubarb? So when you're looking at pulling successes from memories versus failures, what are some key things that you can do to ensure that you're leaning harder on the successes than the failures? Because I think that's also part of human nature. So I just kind of want to get your thoughts on that.
Well, I mean, I guess it's twofold. I think for me, it's the awareness. I mean, for us, it's awareness. Now, I mean, because I think it's really important to remember some of the failures first as well. I mean, in some circumstances, okay, I'll go back to 2012. I had The book came out, became a bestseller. I was leaving my Remax business at that time. And I thought, wow. And so my ego got in the way. I am what other people think of me. So I went off out. It was a Harley Davidson dealership for sale. And I went, oh my God, look how good, wow, look how important I'm going to be. I'm going to go out and I'm going to buy a dealership and I'm going to do that and going to do this. And I'm just going to set off in the world and look what people are going to think. And I'm going to be that badass boy that's sitting on the, So when I look back at that business venture, it failed dramatically. And because I was operating from ego. So for me to be able to look at that right now, I can certainly pull that up and say, okay, well, there's a failed venture, but hey, how am I going to view that? So then I pull up the failed venture and now I throw my perception in there. It's like, well, hey, this allows me now to see that I was operating from ego and not heart center. Because when I looked at that, when I was looking at that business back in those days, if I had seen through all what everybody else could see, I would have probably backed up and went, oh, Dean, this is not for you right now. And so it was one of the bigger lessons that I've ever learned. I lost $250,000, everything I had saved up in the bank at the time. I'm like, and I was just willing to put it all on the line and go purchase this thing. And then, so it's okay to bring that up as well. So I think, Joe, to answer your question in a nutshell, it's about bringing the awareness and then putting it out in front of you and going, okay, where does this fit? Where does this fit right now? What's the benefit of pulling out that memory, that the benefit? So does that make any sense? Just knowing that you can bring it up and create awareness around whatever the situation is.
Yeah, you said two key terms. You said number one, awareness is key, and number two, it's that lens that you're looking at that memory. So perception. Yeah. So it sounds like to me again through awareness and perception seem to be kind of the lens you're looking for.
And does this idea, improve the quality of my life and my family's life? Well, it's and so again. So there's these nice questions that we've had up on our notes that we've had from the past, and bring those out and ask the right question. The quality of the question will come up with the quality of the answer, right? Mm-hmm. So I guess it ultimately comes back down to now trying it on and seeing how you feel about it before we execute. So there's that as well. I mean, the pros and the cons. Start looking at the pros and the cons. I mean, having the two things right in front of you and see how you feel. We have to, again, if we step outside of that, that physical side of us and come back to our heart center, stop thinking from our heads and start thinking from our hearts. That's a big one. And start feeling this. Organically, it happened once where I wanted to review my files. Now, again, we'll zone this back into real estate for a second. So at the end of the year, I was in a habit of, hey, here's the properties that I sold this year. So I would have a stack of files because I was a physical guy. Now you can just lay your hands on your computer and look in Trello. Let me touch the deals that I've done this year, right? And so pull up that deal. Now you want to operate from your head and your heart center. You want to get into the habit of using your heart center. Here's a habit for you. Pull out those files and put them on your desk. And every deal that you've done, 123 Dean Street, 124 Joe Street, and put that file in front of you. Put your hand on that file and feel it. What's the energy coming out of that file? How do you feel about that file? Have you followed up with those people properly? Have you, was that a good deal? Or was it one of those where, oh my God, let's burn that. I don't even want to go nowhere near that file. Look at the heartache it caused. I want us to start operating from our heart center and feel that. And so then you can start feeling this and then going back and repairing the damage or coming back and being able to say, yeah, this feels really good. So it's about understanding that, whatever it is we're going to do, whatever intellectual faculty we're going to engage in this thought process of whatever we're working on, get into the habit of understanding what it feels like. And talking about next week, intuition, boy, and that's an art, and it's not a lost art, but it's a one that sometimes we don't use much, and we operate from our head. And intuition, again, don't want to do the spoiler alert because I don't want to get away from memory. But again, when you start putting your hands on files or your family or start thinking about and operating from your heart versus your head and listening to what the universe is saying to you, you'll get into the habit. And again, this is the other side of the coin. Remember, we're not supposed to be talking about anything that's going to, create money today. That's the other part of your business. This is about being in touch with our awareness and being able to pull the new spiritual tools so we can live in a higher vibration and have a happier life and business and family life. That's what this is about. So remember, guys, memory is that thing. So as we set off this week, now, as we set off to, we have we're starting to stack our tools. Just a couple things I want to drop on you as we set out. Now we're done with memory. Any questions about the memory? Okay, if they come into the chat box, well, Joe's going to let me know. But as we set off now, we have that's 4 now we have in there. So as we set off this week, I want us to I dropped a couple little things that's working for me. Remember to keep your vibe alive, right? Like we're talking about vibration here, right? You know, you got to know what vibe you're in. And again, don't think for a second that other people vibration, right? When you can come down the stairs in the morning, if you're not having a good day, the cat runs underneath the table, the dog runs out the door. Nobody wants to be around you. So let's keep that vibe alive. When I say alive, let's keep this thing real. And how are we going to do that? It's certainly not about self-serving. Oh, do you have any tips for improving memory? Okay, I'll finish this thought and then I'm going to come back to that. So as we come down the stairs and we want to keep our vibe alive, you know, it's not about keeping this vibration. It's not about self-serving. Keeping this vibration in this wonderful place, guys, is about giving back. The more we give back in some way, shape, or form, your vibration is going to be in the right direction. How do we keep that vibe alive? Well, one of them is the impression of increase. I'm not sure if we've really dove into that so much, but just being able to keep that at the forefront. And if you want to have a section around your office where you're going to keep some of these little tips, there's a big one, you guys, impression of increase. I think we've touched on it before, but everybody that you deal with today, make it an effort that they're going to leave this conversation with something more than they came in. They're going to leave feeling better. And I mean, when you walk away from those conversations, guess who's feeling good? You are, and your vibe is high as a kite. And that's a big thing, whether it's going to be opening up the door for the little old lady going into Thrifty Foods or going into the grocery store, you know, or whatever that is. Or, you know, if there's someone in need, stop and make that effort. Leaving people with an impression of increase is a surefire way to fill up your own little, we'll call it your love cup, you know, like loving yourself. And this is something I'm learning about the chakra business, you know, being able to, again, fill up your love cup. So nobody else got to fill up your cup. Don't depend on somebody else. That's called codependency. When we're talking about your love cup, do things that's going to fill it up by giving to others. It's not about just throwing, you know, oh, everywhere you go, you're going to give out a 20. That doesn't really work. It's about giving back, whatever that looks like for you, right? Is there someone, you know, that's just, you know, we're in these COVID times. There's a lot of people out there right now that's probably going to come into some mental illness that they never know they had, you know. And so, you know, what can we do for the people that we know that are in need? You know, what phone call can you put out? That's leaving an impression of increase. You know, without the need for, oh, thank you, you're so awesome. No, we're not going after that. Let's go out from our hearts and put out that impression of increase to someone that's really needs it. And engage when we're engaging with people this week. Because we're trying to keep the vibe alive, right? I mean, when you're engaging with everybody this week, give them the compliment. I walk up to strangers. This took a lot for me. I mean, yes, people think I'm outgoing and whatnot, but I'm not this guy to walk up and go, hey, whoa, you're pretty, you know, wow. But in my new tactful world, you can walk up and go, excuse me, ma'am, I actually don't. That's probably one of the prettiest necklaces I've ever seen. And you wear it so well. Guys, these little things sometimes are something to change other people's vibration. And you leave with that impression of increase. And I think one of the biggest gifts you can give someone is the awareness for yourself that you have 2 ears and 1 mouth. And I want us to it, and not start. That's assuming that you're not listening already. Let's be aware of our own listening skills. What are we being present in our conversations with people? Now, when you think about, just picture this: big warehouse. It's dark, just a little bit of light. It's almost like a bad movie. And you got this little tiny hole, a little mouse hole. He's coming in behind the stairs. And that mouse knows there's a cat out there because he can feel it. And the cat knows there's a mouse in there because he can feel it. And the cat is sitting right at that hole. And he's got all the focus. Remember, we talked about will, being able to focus. That cat can stay there by that mouse hole and just wait and wait and wait. The intensity that both those little animals is coming from their instinct. I want us to be either the cat or the mouse, but understand this: that cat will not move. There's so much focus on there with the intensity. I want us to walk forward and with whomever is going to converse with us to be so present that it's intense how present we are, and we're listening to every word they say. And that just means that we're not off on some other thought. Oh, right, after this conversation's over, I gotta call Joe and I gotta book my appointment next week and I gotta do this. And oh my God, the kids are at the mall. And then all of a sudden the sentence stops and you don't have a clue what they said. If we listen to people with that intensity of cat and mouse, we're going to hear them. That is an impression of increase in itself. I didn't realize how powerful it was till I had a friend once say, Dean, something's changing you. And I was trying this because I was the person always off on a different thought process. And they ask a question, I'm like, what? Oh, I was simply there. I wasn't listening. How rude of me to be in that position. Someone is going to share their thoughts with me and I'm off on a different process and I'm not thinking, or I'm not being present. So leave with impression of increase. Work like the intensity of that cat waiting for the mouse when it comes to listening. Now there's an impression of increase in itself. Let's walk forward and let's hear people with our hearts. And so that's a couple of little things I wanted to drop off you today. Now let's go back to that question. Do I have any tips for improving memory? All right, so it depends on what it is you want to remember. So when it is, again, I keep going back to the ridiculous association thing. I mean, and I welcome the whole group to answer these kind of questions. I'm kind of stuck on that one because, I mean, sometimes if I got to remember something, I'll put a suit on a car in my imagery to make remember that I'm looking for a tie. So if I go to the grocery store and I don't have a pen, how am I going to remember sugar? Yeah, I have to. Personally, it's about being funny. For me, I have to put sugar dripped over the mall floors, and I leave that with the house and go, what was, oh, right, it was sugar, because I had pictured everybody falling down on a bank of sugar walking into the mall. These are the weird things. So it's about ridiculous association. What's important to you? Associated with something that's funny, that's going to attract your attention. That's what I do to remember things. So anybody else got anything to say about what they use to engage their memory? Because it is a really important muscle.
I think a lot of it is what you put in your body, right? I mean, a lot of people say omega-3 fatty acids, fish oils, sleep, cutting down on alcohol, and a lot of people swear. Yeah, a lot of people swear by again, like those little the apps, like the brain teasers and things
Right.
like that, right? So just like any other muscle in your body, you need
Right.
to exercise it, right? But exercise it with intent.
How many people on our call today? Here's one more last round of participation. Tell me who's got everybody. If you have children, just put down yes or no. I have a tip. When we talk about listening, we have 3 yeses already. No. No. Yes. So when we have, I'm always wanting to put tips out for what we can say to our kids to increase their impression of increase, right? When they can walk away from it feeling good. And sometimes, we get busy as parents and we forget, these little people are always looking up to us. And for those of us who maybe forget, that's why I'm bringing this up right now. I thought of something that I used to do with my kids, both of them. And I would trick them into, just feeling a little anxious when I'd say this. I go, hey, you guys, have I told you today? And it's either like, oh my God, what? I didn't sweep the veranda properly. I didn't pick up the hose after I washed the car. I didn't do this or I didn't do that. Usually it's associated with this. And I always like, I always like to put it on the edge because, we have this, little beautiful thing with our kids. But I would walk up to the kids and I'd go, hey, have I told you today? It's like, nope. And I'd say, you know what? I am so happy that you're my daughter. Man, am I ever happy. Right out of the blue, you guys. And boy, you want to talk about the validation that kids get from their parents. And talk about leaving the most important thing in your life on the impression of increase. And being able to say this to your kids, hey, have I told you today? It's like, what? Man, am I ever glad that I'm your dad? Am I ever glad that you're my dad? Am I ever glad that you're my son? Am I ever blessed that God gave me you for my son? That's all you got to say, you guys. When you want to watch the expression on a child's face, now you can say this, I guess, in any relationship. Have I told you today, I'm so glad you're my business partner? Wow. There's a little tip, but I noticed that because again, I come by all these things not organically. I mean, this came by most people telling me, you know, when I'm asking questions about how to increase my relationship with my kids or whatever. This is one that stood out for me. But when you have the kids, you know, when they're smaller, these are some little things that we can say to our kids. If you want to leave the most important person in your life with the impression of increase, say that to your children. Hey, have I told you today? Man, am I ever glad that you're my son. And then I just go off on, it's like, listen, I love the way you talk to me. I love the way you look. I love your smile. I love this. Man, these kids walk out with a level of confidence that, you know, maybe they'll have the equipment they all need by the time they're in their 20s to walk out and just explode and just crush the world, right? However they want. But I believe it's our job now as parents and adults to be able to have these little tools to deliver to our children so they can walk away. And I do this to Kate now. I mean, if we're having a bad morning, I don't think she's on the call today because she's out showing a property or something. But so every now and then I'll walk in, and if we're not having like the ideal morning, let's just say that father-daughter working relationship, I'll walk in her office. Listen, did I say this? And she'll say, what? Well, what now? What did I miss? Oh my God, am I ever glad you're my daughter? She's like, oh, Dad. Guys, these are little tiny tips, but boy, they yield big when it comes to life. And this is from Heart Center. That's Heart Center stuff. And this is what we want to be able to, you know. Oh, look at this. So Justina says every day, I'm so lucky I get to be your mom. These are little things, you guys, as we're always out trying to increase the quality of our lives and do these next things in life. Pull out these little memories, and that's going to serve you properly. Oh, look, Heidi, I just sent that to a text to my son. You know, so these are the little things, you guys, that's going to yield big in our lives, because it's not all about how big the paycheck is. It's about, you know, are we looking after ourselves, right? Are we filling our own love cup? Your love cup means how do you love yourself, right? All these things, and being able to, you know, change out the perception, how we're looking at a situation. It could mean you taking it easy on yourself and filling your own love cup. When your love cup is full, guess what? You won't be depending on somebody else's cup to feed yours. Right? So, Joe, you fill my love cup.
Well, thank you, Dean. I like to think that I'm good for something, man. You fill my love cup too, pal. I would rate our relationship a 9.9 out of 10 today.
I love it. I love it. Guys, Merry Christmas to you all. I mean, I know we're still going to see each other next week. I think it's still on. We're still doing next Monday, even though, yeah, for sure. And again, it's been my pleasure. And again, I had someone reach out to me this week and ask for my telephone number. So, and I'm blessed to do that. And I think when this, you know, it sounds like when the series is over, we're going to do a little, you know, a compilation of just things to put out to you guys. Like I'd love to have a little copy of that stick man. I want to make sure everybody gets their goal card. Just want to make sure we sum up this series with a, you know, just with lots of gifts, you know, from the heart. And I love everybody here. It's beautiful. Thanks for having me. And I hope we're still on track with how, you know, how we're doing. And we're always open to feedback as well, you guys. I mean, Joel's the feedback guy. I mean, just send him a note. And if there's anything you'd like to see on our little sessions, by all means, let us know. But yeah, so that's it today, Joe.
Love it. So I'm just going to stop the recording here.
Yeah, sure.
And
Any